Welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the show. We've got some breaking news happening over the last 2 weeks, and I wanted to make sure that you saw this. Now, it didn't make big headlines, and the reason is that it essentially exposes the whole mask charade going on right now. Now, I've been invited on many podcasts to talk about the virus. I've been invited on lots of podcasts to talk about the mask and the quarantine 15 or 20, all those different topics. And all of those I'm happy to speak about, I really am. But when there's breaking news and actual research done in a lab with scientists, not just looking to prove one point or the other, I want to make sure that you heard about it. Now, this was published in the journal Science Advances, but this is not a journal that everyone's reading on a day-to-day basis. Now, it's a well-known publication. This was done at Duke University of Medicine, obviously a prestigious school, and done by a team of scientists. So this is a legitimate study. It's not what we would say, hey, this is evidence-based, meaning you're going to take this at face strictly and just say, okay, we're going to follow all of these different guidelines. But it's pretty definitive for the masks out there, which ones work and which ones don't. And believe it or not, there's a category of masks that is probably the most popular type of mask out there that's actually doing more harm than good. Now, when I read that, I thought that was sensationalistic. I said, there's no way that wearing a mask is actually more harmful than not. So I dug into the research. Like, I had to dig deeper into saying, how could wearing a mask actually be worse for spreading the virus than not wearing one? And there is actually a reason that I want to share with you here today. Now, before we get to all that, we want to understand that there are essentially two camps of people. One is that just wear a mask, you're going to save lives, and that's how we're going to beat this particular virus. And then there's the other camp that essentially says there's no need to wear masks, none of them work, or that this is not helpful, meaning that we need to actually allow the virus to move at a faster rate so that we reach herd immunity faster. Now, there are pros and cons to both camps if you simply keep your mind open and understand where each side is coming from, meaning that everyone's saying, well, wear a mask, wear a mask, wear a mask. And that would absolutely be fantastic if we were all wearing the specific type of mask that actually stopped the spread of this virus and that it was fitting correctly, of course. So that would work, but we know that people aren't wearing those types of masks. And again, I'll discuss that. The study actually went into 14 different types of masks. We'll break down the top 4 categories today and let you then decide. And then the other camp saying, well, we need to allow it to spread faster. If not, that this is going to last for a year, 2 years if we just spread it out and we have a little bit of cases here, a little bit of cases here, and it just never dies out. So again, like, I see where both sides are coming from. From my perspective, it's this. One, we have to use the common sense and decency that if you are sick, if you're experiencing a cough or fever, feeling run down, have any of the symptoms of a particular cold or virus, whether it is this particular virus or not, stay home. I mean, that's the thing. It's just not worth it. Maybe you're going to do just fine, but someone else that gets it may be immunocompromised. And then others would say, well, that person that's immunocompromised should just stay inside. And I would say that would be great if that's how it worked in the real world. But some people that are immunocompromised or over the age of 65, especially 75, do still have to go out because they can't get other people to do their shopping for them, or they still have to go out for work or whatever it might be. So while I do agree that the only way to move through this is to get to herd immunity, and that we need healthy people actually to get this so then it dies out, not the people that are most immunocompromised, I actually do think that we should be wearing masks in public. I certainly do. Now, again, who do I feel the most important to wear masks? Well, the the people, of course, if you're sick, stay inside. You don't pass on illnesses to other people. It's common decency. I don't think that it's very fair. Now, if you are sick and you have no one else to help you out, you have to go out for whatever reason, well then, really important that you put on an N95 mask. And maybe everyone just gets one N95 mask and they only use it if they're sick. Or, of course, if you're immunocompromised and you have to go out, put that one on, keep it tight around your face, don't take it off, don't put your fingers inside of it. It's really the only way to be sure, okay, you're going to be safe. And of course, don't put your fingers to your eyes, don't put your fingers in your nose, for sure. Okay, and again, that's all kidding aside. That's actually how you spread the virus. Hands in the mouth, hands in the nose, hands in the eyes, right? Keep them out of there. No cuts on the fingers, or if you do have cuts on the fingers, wear gloves. It's the only way. The face shield doesn't work unless you're wearing a mask over it. The media has stopped us from using our common sense as well. If you wear a face mask, the only thing that it is basically it's a spit shield. I mean, that's really what it is, because you breathe around the face shield and you breathe under the face shield. I really want us to understand the basic concept that a virus comes essentially from us speaking or sneezing or whatever it might be, and those particles can stay in the air for up to 34 minutes, okay? They typically don't fall to the ground faster than in 4 minutes. So keep in mind, when you're wearing that face shield and you're walking around a store, you're breathing in all sorts of micron particles that you can't see in the air, and you're breathing right around that face shield. The face shield does nothing. I mean, it does almost absolutely nothing for your breathing. Now, can it block things going in your eyes? Of course, but probably better off even just wearing a pair of glasses then. That's the truth. But I want to get down to brass tacks and what the real truth is, because the media is only going to share with you fair. So let's at least give you what the truth is. And then you can, again, pass this on to friends, family, as this is real science-based backing. And we're saying that the best thing is you do wear a mask in public. I mean, that's the truth. And especially, again, if you're immunocompromised. Here's why. You never know who you're coming in contact with. Yes, the majority of people, well over 99%, are going to be just fine if they get this particular virus. There's enough hospitals and hospital beds as of this recording that there's going to be enough hospitals for people to be able to take care of. So that's not particularly the issue. The issue is you don't know who's most susceptible, because you don't personally know who's immunocompromised or over the age of 65, 75 years old. And because of that, we have to be good neighbors to each other. And so when you are inside in a crowded place, whatever it might be, probably a good idea to wear a mask. I think that's probably the right thing to do. Now, when we go overboard, I see these people, literally, they're outside. They're at dinner together. This is in Boston. They're right outside. They're at dinner together. 4 people at a table, 2 couples. They're having a conversation with masks on. It was one of the most apocalyptic things I've ever seen. I could not believe my eyes. They're sitting, about 2 feet across from each other, 2-foot table. They're talking. I don't know how anybody understands anybody with a mask on. I mean, I don't think the best hearing in the world anyways, but if I don't see someone's lips, I've realized I have no idea what they're saying. Like, I have such a difficult time communicating with other people with a mask on. I mean, that could just be me. But anyway, I wear a mask outside for others, not for me. I'm actually not worried about me, but I'm certainly worried about other people. One thing I want to share with that is going back to the 2 couples at the table. When their food came, they took their masks off to eat. That blew my mind. I basically said, what are we doing here? In what world do we live in? Because again, I know it's not their fault. This is just the media has created this false sense of fair that we all need to be living in. If you're okay going out to another couple and sharing a meal with them, so you go out with another couple, friends, whatever it might be, and share a meal, and you take your masks off to eat, there's absolutely no need then to put that mask on before the meal or in the same car with them again, because you've already shared the same airspace for that hour together that you're eating. That to me, again, it just blows my mind. What I want us to do is think critically. That's what, again, at least our community, think critically. Share the information with others, make the best choices possible. All right, let's get back into the science right now. So, researchers at Duke University published in Science Advances. I'm going to give you the link right now to share with other people. You can head over to StephenCabral.com/1665. StephenCabral.com/1665. Again, no agenda here at all. I think you should wear a mask in public when you're around other people that could be immunocompromised or over the age of 65, 75. Do I still also believe in herd immunity at the same time? I do. but you don't get to choose who you give a virus to. I just don't think that that's fair, right? So I think there's kind of, again, pros and cons. So let's talk about this. 14 masks were used. They were broken down into 4 main categories. How is this test done? Well, the team actually looked at the individual particles released from a person's mouth when they are speaking. And if you go back again, I've been doing podcast virus updates about every 2 weeks. Way back in the day, I showed you that the way they got the 6 feet is that typical distance for these micron particles to come out of someone's mouth is about 6 feet. However, some people are overproducers and overprojectors of these particles, and they can go up to 12 to 14 feet. So 6 feet is just a basis, right? It doesn't have anything specific. It's somewhat grounded in science, but it can go much further. Regardless, these particles are coming out of people's mouth, whether they see them or think they're spitting or not. And what they did was they set up this box that is made out of cardboard and it includes a lens. Now, the speakers said the same phrase into this box without a mask and then repeated the process while wearing one. Of course, they used the different masks, and each face covering was tested 10 times. Inside the device, the airborne particles basically passed through a sheet of light that was created by a laser hitting the lens, and it produced visible flashes that were recorded on the phone's camera. And so that's how they recorded all of this. So it's a very simple thing that anyone could test. And that's why they wanted to make this very, very simple and very, very clean. And you know what? Here's what it did. It basically proved out what I've been sharing with you on the previous podcasts, with one exception, and that there's a style of mask that is actually more harmful, doing more harm than good, and it's one of the most popular ones that I see. So let's check this out. What did the best? Well, the N95. That has never, ever, ever been in question. The N95 allowed no droplets at all to come out. It was the only one that completely prevented micron airborne particles that could carry the virus from coming out of the mask. It's the only one. So if you're looking for what mask is 100% effective, it's the N95. Now, there's a caveat, and I actually see this quite a bit. There are a lot of N95 masks with what's called an exhalation valve. It's that little plastic valve that you may see on the side of the masks. Some of those masks have one, some have two on the N95. Well, here's the thing. The N95 mask with the exhalation valve works for you not to get the virus. However, you can spread it through that exhalation valve. That to me was new as well. I did not know that. I had no idea that exhalation valve did not block the micron particles from your mouth from coming out through that mask. I thought there was an individual filter inside of that. Now, my N95 mask, which, by the way, I don't wear all the time. I would only wear it around someone that was immunocompromised. I wear just a typical, the blue surgical mask because I have a pack of like 25 in my car. So when I go out, just pop one of those on, and I only use it a couple times, and then that's it. So, but here's the thing. The N95 mask, which again, I do recommend for anybody immunocompromised or sick, right, or over the age of 65 or 75 especially. No exhalation valve though. The exhalation valves, even though it makes it easier for you to breathe, you can actually pass on a virus through that. So that was good to know. All right. So N95, no exhalation valve, that works for sure. Now, next up, and I've been recommending this, the surgical 3-ply mask. That's the typical blue one that fans open. It has a little metal nasal clip there so you can fit it to your face better and try to tuck in the sides to make a tighter fit. The problem with that, it's not a tight fit. That's the issue, right? So it's not 100% effective. Some people say 70% effective. What's the issue with that? Well, if you do cough, it's going to come out the sides, right? And when you do breathe, it's not, you don't fully breathe through that front. You breathe through the sides as well. So you are getting a level of protection. There's no doubt about that, okay? You're getting a level of protection, but don't believe the media when they tell you that that's going to prevent you from getting the virus. Not so. Not so at all. You're more likely with that mask to pull it up and down, to put your fingers in it, most likely. And for sure, you can breathe around the mask as well. But again, you can make it fit tighter. There's no doubt about that. You can tie like a little clip or elastic in between the strings, between your ear and the mask to make it tighter. You can tuck the sides in a bit. You can pinch the nose tighter. And certainly, that's a good 3-ply mask. Keep that in mind, 3-ply with a moisture-based barrier. So extremely important that if you can't get an N95, then you're going to go with the surgical blue mask. And those masks are about $1 a mask. That's what they found them to be. You can get about 25 masks for $25. You can use them. Well, it depends on how often you use them, how much you're breathing through them. And if you're wearing it for a day, it's really only good for that day. You get a couple hours out of it, 3 to 6 hours for the most part. But again, that's highly variable depending on if you're sick, how much you're breathing in, how dirty did it get? Did you touch it with the inside of your hands? Like anything like that. Okay. So we know the surgical, a good second option. Now, not 100%, but a good second option. Next up came cloth, and the cloth masks actually did better in this round of testing. Why is that? Because some cloth masks now actually have a 3-ply layer. So that's the interesting thing. Some cloth masks are now being made with a 3-ply layer, and they are woven in a way to make them not able to have moisture come out, about the same as a surgical mask. So that's pretty great to see. How do you know, though, if your cloth mask stands up? Very simple test, and I really like that the researchers said this. If you hold your mask up to the light or to the sun, can you see it through it? If you can see through it, it's most likely not doing its job, all right? Not effective. If you put the mask to your mouth and you blow just like this, if you blow like that, can you feel the wind and air on your fingers? And if you can, it's not doing its job, okay? So you can test your cloth mask that way. So that was really nice to see that more cloth masks are actually being made with 3 layers. Now, although, I'm not putting a lot of stake in the World Health Organization because of their ties to various private parties all around the world, they also do agree that you want 3 layers. I mean, so that's a thing. The study showed that 2-ply was pretty good. 3-ply, 3 layers, definitely more effective. Okay, so now let's move on to the last style of mask, which is for sure one of the most popular ones out there, but believe it or not, actually fared worse than no mask at all. Let me repeat that. Using this type of mask that I'm about to tell you was actually worse than no mask at all. And again, I couldn't believe that, but I'm going to share with you why. So the neck wraps, such as a bandana or gaiter wrap. So basically the neck wraps that you have around your neck and you pull up over your mouth and nose. Although extremely popular, one of the most popular ones out there, they actually were worse than wearing no mask at all. And again, when we look at that and the media saying, wear a mask, it's for other people, save lives, all of these things, I'm telling you right now, the media is just about fair. They don't care. They don't look into the science. And believe me, there is an agenda. We don't know it yet. I don't know it for sure. But this is this seems to me way bigger than us being told to wear masks, all of these things. It's completely insane what is going right now. We'll save that for another show. We're going to stick to the science right now. So here's the thing. Here's why it actually fared worse than people speaking that phrase into that box with no mask at all. So what happens is this. When people put on the gaiter or the neck wrap, there was a higher droplet count observed in the study that was linked to the porous fabric of the neck gaiter that was tested, which allowed bigger particles to break up into many smaller ones that would most likely hang around in the air longer. That was remarkable. So basically, in simplistic terms, this is what it means. You wear one of the neck wraps, you breathe through it, it's porous, so your micron, again, tiny microscopic particles go right through the neck gaiter, but now instead of being larger particles that might fall to the ground faster, the neck gaiter actually breaks them up into smaller particles, and now those particles can hang around in the air longer. Plus, since they're smaller, they're going to be more likely to be breathed in by other people. This is why I love being able to look at science from just an outside perspective, a non-media, non-political based perspective. Wearing a mask is not affiliated with a political party. Wearing a mask is the right thing to do for other people. Maybe not for you. Maybe, again, you don't necessarily mind getting sick potentially or getting the virus. But the problem is, so many people are living in fear right now. They think that wearing any mask is going to help them. That's not the truth. And that's also very dangerous for them as well, because wearing any mask is not going to protect you. So if you're 70 years old or you're immunocompromised and you think that just putting on a bandana or putting on a cloth mask is going to protect you. That's, I would say, criminal that the media can say that. They should say this. If you are looking to not get the virus, then you're going to want to protect your eyes, your nose, and your mouth from getting the virus in. So what you really want to do is wear an N95 mask, and I would probably put on a pair of glasses. I mean, that's sunglasses, whatever you'd like. That's going to give you your best chance. And then when you do get home, I don't think you have to get overly cautious about this. Then you will wash your hands. You'll wash your thumbs. You'll wash between your fingers. You'll wash your hands. And in general, we're going to move into cold and flu season in general. Keep your fingers out of your mouth, nose, and eyes. And that's the best thing that you can do. Now, you might say, well, that's really difficult for children, this and that. It is, but luckily, children are not affected anywhere near adults with this particular virus. And again, that's backed up by true facts and science. So I'd love you to be able to share this information from an unbiased, unhyped-based perspective and say, we're going to get through this. 99+% of people are going to be completely fine if they get the virus. That's how we're going to get to herd immunity naturally. And for those people that are most immunocompromised, most at risk, those people 75 plus and older, what we need to do is either shop for them, go out for them, or if they have to go out, that we urge them to get an N95 mask and that we maybe purchase one for them, or we at least give them one of those blue surgical masks and help them to fit it as tightly as possible. That's the ideal. That's, I think, the best that we can do right now. I'm always open, so that's the thing. Leave in the comments today, just on my Instagram. It's just Stephen Cabral. It's Stephen with a PH. Let me know if there's other tips that you would like to give for the community as well. Remember, this is about the good of everyone in the community. There is open-mindedness. There is no dogma. There is no this way is best or that way is best. We're simply trying to share with people the true science, no hype, no fear. Here's where we're at. It's not an ideal situation, but we're going to get through this. There's no doubt about it. We're going to make it through. We're going to be okay. We're going to do our best, and let's do our best for all of our neighbors as well. Thank you so much for tuning into the show. I appreciate you as always. And of course, if this show was helpful, please do feel free to share it with anyone you believe it could serve. Did you know that the body really only becomes sick or imbalanced in only two ways? Over time, you become deficient in vital nutrients, and you also accumulate toxins internally and from the environment. As those nutrients diminish and you increase your total toxic load, your body then begins to show the first signs of dis-ease. It's actually quite predictable, and the good news is that if we know how you began to fill up that proverbial rain barrel, we also know how to empty it to begin the healing process. I was fortunate enough to learn this ancient healing process from my mentor after suffering from debilitating diseases for close to a decade. It was only when I began to implement these techniques did I finally overcome my illnesses and go on to live a life of energy and vitality that I now enjoy. I'd like to share with you now what I discovered after traveling all over the world and how to combine the best of ancient healing wisdom with state-of-the-art science. Allow me to teach you exactly how I've been able to help over 250,000 people to empty their rain barrel and begin to transform their body and lives into what they've always hoped they could be. To get your copy of the international bestseller, The Rain Barrel Effect, simply go to stephencabral.com/rainbarrel.